Layoffs at Amazon, possibly cutting 10,000 workers starting as soon as this week.
They're not firing fucking people working in the factories and distribution facilities. They're firing people working on the tech side. Don't be crazy now. Right before fucking Black Friday, you think Amazon's going to cut distribution facilities? No. Those essential workers that don't get essential pay are unironically the fucking bottom line. They are the people who are making Amazon what it is, the behemoth that it is. Tech bubble is popping off. The tech bubble was in many ways propped up by decades of quantitative easing and basically free money that the government was printing over and over again. And the first sign of that no longer happening, like a little bit of fucking increase in interest rates, and holy fuck, the tech bubble is like, oh shit, what the fuck? We no longer have permanent growth. Shit's about to explode. Facebook is laying off 11,000 workers. Amazon is laying off 10,000 workers. Twitter laid off 3,700 workers, half its workforce. Stripe laid off 1,100. Shopify 1,000. Lyft 700. This is why tech workers need to unionize. And then this guy goes, so a company can go bankrupt and lay off 100% of its workers? Yeah, that's. I mean, these companies are bankrupt. They're just being kept afloat currently. Anyway.
So what's really going on here? Well, many of these big companies, these tech companies, they built up their workforces during the pandemic. And as Americans and people all over the world were stuck at home, spending more time than ever before on their phones and buying stuff on Amazon. But then inflation came along with the economy reopening, and people shifted their time and their money from buying stuff to spending on going.
I just don't understand why people thought that like the COVID level growth was going to stay steady. Or I guess they knew that it wasn't going to, and this will yield good results for companies because ultimately it will seem like they are eliminating redundancies. Remember, there's no better indication of like the stock market not necessarily representing the economy and the health of the economy than companies laying off thousands of workers and then their stock prices going up because they have become more efficient. Companies overpromise positions because it's that goofy capitalism brain that want to grow, but the moment that things take a downturn, they blame the amount of workers for impacting the bottom line. It's always the little person that feels the effect the most. Plus, with 3.7% unemployment, you can literally fucking get back to a situation where you're hiring fresh college graduates or forcing the current workforce that you have to do the job of all the people that just got fired. Whenever people talk about efficiency or eliminating redundancy, what they mean is the people that are in that workforce, they're not going to do the job of 2 people, 3 people, because they're going to be forced to, because what's the alternative? You get fired. You have no protection. These massive companies still have lots of money. It's not a money problem. They could pay you if they wanted to. It might be useful to learn about why they don't want to pay people right now. By high inflation, the economy isn't that bad yet. The stock market overall is not doing great, but not that bad yet. But tech stocks in particular are getting absolutely hammered. They're losing 60%, 70%, 80% of their value this year. Tech stocks have been hugely overvalued for a decade now. Times were good and money was cheap. So rich people stuck all their money into tech because it kept going up until it didn't. Smart people expected a correction eventually, but it's much worse than anticipated. So tech stocks are way down. How does this impact executives at these companies? As public companies, their fiscal responsibility is to their shareholders and their board. They have to stop the bleeding. If they don't, they can be fired. Everybody has a boss. This is where it starts to begin to impact you. At most companies, paying humans is by far the biggest line item expense in the expense budget. Layoffs are by far the easiest and most expedient way for a company to cut expenses. As long as that is true, layoffs will happen in a downturn. You can also correct it with temp labor. You can also correct it by telling the existing employees that weren't fired to do the job of all the people that just were. Like when we talk about productivity, for example, as many do, what we are simply talking about is how technological advancements have made it so that one worker can do the job of 10. You can create value that is like 10 people. Okay, you can create value like you're 10 people, but you're not going to get paid the 10 people's value. You're not going to have less hours as a consequence of that. But the company is now making 10 people value from you, the one person. That's how this works. That's how it's always worked.